Can you see me?
Not live video, but I can see your the image.
Okay. So you can admit people and so on, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay. Very good. I'm gonna put on some music and we will get this show on the road. I see a few people there that I like. How are you, girl?
I just want to say I miss you. That's all.
Did you have that baby yet?
Hold on, let me. Yes, I did. She came July 27th. Hold on 1 second. Let me just see if I could. Hold on, let me see.
Diana. Oh my
You see her?
gosh. Oh wow. Beautiful. I can see her.
Say I did.
Oh, wow.
More.
All right. August baby. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. She actually came early. She came July 22nd. So 7/22/22. So
Okay.
and but I'm doing very well physically. I've recovered a lot mentally. Oh my gosh, I'm a mom again. That's all.
Oh my gosh. Well, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. And
Because
hopefully
I've been in my mind for some
soon.
time. We are gonna have to catch up.
Please, I would love
What's
it.
her name?
So her name is a play off Michaela Marie, which is Melania Murray, and it means dark skinned princess.
Huh.
And her last name is
Mike, would you put out the link for people? I hope they have it.
I'll share it out too. Okay.
Thank you so much, darling. I appreciate that.
Of course, you are.
If you could share the live, it's on my page. If you could share that,
I sure will.
I appreciate it. If you would also share it to the Free Haiti movement, that would really be helpful for me. Okay, now I gotta put on my camera.
Compère général Jean-Baptiste, mesdames yo levé, poyet yo nan men yo, y a pe coupe colè yo.
All right, let me see where I am on Facebook here.
Si maye l'espoir, Èzili nanano, moi senti ma paix monter, moi sénégalais.
All right, everybody. Welcome to all of those who are here. Where is my banda? All right, everybody. All right. Bonjour, bonsoir, tout le monde. On va chercher voyer link là, aller là. That's a beautiful baby girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. How are you, Catherine? Kwame, Milton, Reggie. How are you, Catherine?
I'm doing
Nula,
good,
nula.
ma'am. How about yourself?
Reggie.
I'm fine. How are you, Èzili?
Nula, nula, grateful to be here.
And my first lesson, my
All
brother.
right, so I'm going to be recording this, people. Mike, I'm going to give you Fritz's number. So just call him to make sure that Grambois is okay. Mike, can you hear me? Make sure that Grambois is okay. Mike is coming, it's going to be here. Mike.
All right.
So what I'll do is I'll text it to you, okay?
That sounds good.
Do you hear the echo? Mike, do you hear the echo?
So, um,
All right, so um, so Mike, I'm sending him your number so that he can connect with you and you can let him in with Grambois. They're supposed to go on at 1 o'clock. Please connect around 1 o'clock. We'll wait to see for more people to come in. Please connect with Mike. We'll wait to see for more people to come in. Hello, everybody. I think it's going to be a really good and interesting program. I think I'm going to be sharing with you guys some really good information. I think information you probably have never seen put in this manner before. So, so we're going to do that today. We're going to celebrate 231 years of the Haitian Revolution and where we are today and what strategy we need to take. I think what I want you to think about as you're listening to this presentation is how is this going to work for you today? All right, I'm gonna have to mute myself on Facebook. Love this. Okay. So, Mike. Yeah, I'm really excited about this because I'm going to share with you guys this book that I've been writing for a while about the Haitian women of the Haitian Revolution. And this is particularly good for my Patreons. And I hope that you like it because it's going to come from a whole different space. You know, Èzili Dantò doesn't come in the same space. Okay, so Mike, and you have a chance, call Fleets, okay? And find out how things are going with Gamboa, our invited guest, who's going to come in on the second hour, maybe a little bit after the second hour, but let me know, Mike, if you, I'm sending it to you through message, okay, to text. Okay, so Mike, you should have Fritz's number. If you would kindly call him and let me know how it's going with Gamboa, who's supposed to be here for the second hour of this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. 231 years ago. Something tremendous that has never happened in human history happened. And it was your ancestors. It was your ancestors. Haïtien. I know that there are non-Haitians here, but today I am talking to Haïtien because we need to figure this out. Otherwise, we will not be here because this animal is destroying the planet, is destroying us. And Dessalines, Toussaint Louverture, and Marie-Jeanne, and Défilé, and Marie-Claireuse, all of them are waiting for us. And I hope that as you follow this presentation, Haïtien, especially the ones who've been asking me, where are the spiritual people in Haiti? And do something. It's funny, finally people are looking for spiritual people in Haiti. But I'm going to show you where they were in 1791. And then you can make the correlation. So ladies and gentlemen, we are going to share I am going to share my screen right now. Make sure, and then we will start this program later on. we will have an hour later on, hopefully 45 minutes to an hour, so that you can ask any questions with regards to what you just saw. Okay. I've been doing this for 18 years now, since 2004, when that bicentennial coup d'etat started. And it seems to me that the violence rate is so much more than it was back in 2004, when we had a Chapter 7 shoot to kill. But we have to understand that wherever this vampire goes, he brings violence and devastation. And he brought that violence and devastation in 1492 to Anakawona and Kawanabo's people. And he has not stopped. So I want Haitians to understand, and all indigenous people and all people, all races, that life is vibration. We are all this piece of vibration. And there is a vibration in the world that is a vampire that's eating everything. It's rampaging. It's like, it's a leech. It's a parasite. It puts profit over human beings at all costs. So how did our ancestors in Haiti, who were the first one to put liberty into application, how did they, what programs did they come with that was in contradiction and allowed them to survive this 231 years? Remember, before that 231 years, we're talking about 1492, going back 500 years here. And then we're talking about the first African in 1503. And I always say, of course, there were Blacks in the Americas, particularly in Haiti. So it's not what they call this Taino, right? So there were Blacks there also. And I always point to the Black carol calls, because that space is really important, because the European is always going there to take away the artifacts. And I'm always saying at the very beginning of wherever I go, whatever I do, that we have to remember our ancestors, not our ancestors in the Americas, the indigenous folks in the Americas, and our ancestors in Africa. But most particularly today, we are going to look at a particular group of people. I didn't know these people existed, and they were in the periphery of my vision. And like I said, I've been doing this for a long, long time, right? So today we are going to look at a category of people. In Haiti, there was the Bossal, which was the African who was kidnapped, who came and who was born in Africa. They called him Bossal or her Bossal. There was the Creole. A Creole could be a white or a Black, but they're born on the island. It could be enslaved, right? Cécile Fatima is a Creole. Dessalines is a Creole. So they were born on the island, right? Whereas the Bossal would be like Sans Souci, Sila, most of those Maroons, a lot of those Maroons. And think of 1802, when Leclerc's army came in, and Christophe they came in February 1802. That's when the Armada came to put us back into slavery. But there was a fight between the Bossal and then the generals in the army that surrendered to the French. Just so you have a visual of what the Bossals were, right? The Bossals are normally like the Cacos and the Piquettes. Those of you who just watched the piece we just did for July 28th, which was marking the anniversary of the first time the United States came in as invaders in 1915. You know, the Cacos, right? So what is it that our people wanted? I'm going to say 4 things, right? And in the questions time, you guys can talk to me. I've written a piece. You can go to my website, ezilidantò.com. They want life. They believe in self-defense and that every human being has the right to life. They did not have the right to life under the slaveocracy of 1791 that was going on since 1503 for them, 1492 for the indigenous ones that were already on that island. So life, and in Creole, that means vive. So when you see the Caco, when you see the Piquettes, when you see the masses of Haitians, the disinherited ones, that's what they want. They want the right to life and security. Combit, they have a process, right? Where work is not work for the African and the indigenous, right? It's not an assembly line. It's something they do in community. So they have combit, they have lakou, they live in community. I'm going to show you some of these lakous today. And then the last thing is that jardin, right? When the African was Boakaima 1791, and we're fighting the French, and then we fight the Spanish, the English, and then the French again. During all those 13 years, when the people were free, got off of those, because what happened on August 14th, today, 231 years ago, was that a group of people that you probably have never seen the way I'm going to tell you, did something. A group of people that nobody in society suspected. There was the Bossal, there was the Mulatto, which is an African woman with a white man, right? And they always would rape these the woman because they needed to make property. Défilé, one of our warriors and heroes, right? She killed her rapist and then went on to become who we know that she is, a hero of the Haitian Revolution. She took up our arms. She followed Dessalines' army, and she provided supplies. So that was the type of life that was in Haiti at that time. So those categories we know, right? We know the Bossal, that's the enslaved who was just kidnapped and brought. And that Bossal, they said that his and her, that's the field Negro, his and her lifespan was about 3 to 6 years. That's how awful they were treated and how horrendous the situation was. So the majority of Africans that came to work on the fields in Haiti lived 3 to 6 years because the work was and the treatment was so awful. You have to understand that before you understand this category of people I'm about to show you that you probably have never seen in this manner before. And then you guys know who the mulattoes were. So Cecile Fatima, the great mambo that is reputed to have done with Bookman, Boakaima, right? She was a mulatto, right? They say that her father was a Corsican priest and her mother was an African woman. It's really going to be important because I'm going to center on Cecile Fatima today. I'm going to center on a religious person that was involved in her life. And I'm going to give you some relations, because I think, you know, one of the things we don't have when we read history books is how people were related to each other. And it's going to be very important. Okay. So, and those of you who are out there who want to invest in this book that you're going to hear today, please let me know, because I want to put this story, these people live, like I'm going to try to do it for you right now, right? So the categories that there was mulatto, and mostly they would have sex with these African women as like they wanted, at any whim, a child. And then they would use them as mistresses in the house or as house Negroes. Then they had free blacks. They called them the affranchis, right? So for instance, it was a free black man named Jean-Jacques Dessalines who bought our founding father, Dessalines, who was enslaved in the Duclos plantation, was a free black man. And this is all very important, these relationships, okay? Because we have affranchis, when I think of them, these free black men and women, within this horrible system, they're walking around. Some of them had slaves, like Toussaint Louverture had slaves. He was a free black man. But there's one particular free black man. I don't know his name yet. I'm still looking for it. But he was the father of a woman named Marie-Louise David. Very important, because this story I'm about to tell you is a love story. This Boakaima story, like I said, you know, every year I try to do something different. And this Boakaima story, I'm going to tell you a love story. I'm going to tell you a story about Marie-Louise David, how she's related to Cécile Fatima, and then this category of people that nobody ever tells you about in the history. They were a group of people, Black women. They were a group of Black women who were revered in Cap Haïtien. Can you imagine that? They were former slaves. They were called the Dedes. Dede. Now, that's a category of people. So let me share this screen. And we're going to talk about love, betrayal, revolution, war, Catholicism, and Boakaima. So hundreds and hundreds of years ago, precisely 231 years ago, our ancestors used to walk up the mountain road to go and meet each other and plan how they're going to survive the hell they were living. There was the Maroons. Sometimes they would come down to sneak and have relationships with the house Negroes, the coachmen, the overseers.
I'll come back
So
in here.
the Haitian Revolution is complex and very interesting, but let's look at this, right? They used Black males to be overseers. They call them the commandeur. And practically every single one of those folks that were at Boakaima, there was 200 delegates, were overseers. Think about that. Okay, how did that happen? They got privileges, but imagine the life of having to beat people or having to mutilate a person because some white man tells you you have to do it. And that's your life. That was the commandeur's life. And who was the most famous commander? I'm going to tell you who that famous commander was, and then I'm going to tell you who the famous woman was amongst this class of people that I think what I want to do is to share with you this story that you have never heard in this manner before, okay? So let's share this story, all right? Okay, we are sharing the screen, Mike, am I? So Bookman definitely was a commander. He was an overseer, right? So imagine that. This is the Laku of Boakaima. This is where they were on August 14th, 1791. This is where they were. Okay. We're going to do, I'm having 3 different sessions. What I don't cover today, I will cover on the 16th and on the 21st. So we're going to have Unga Zaza, who's at Boakaima, where I just showed you. He's going to be here on the 16th. Today we have Unga Grambois, who has held a Boakaima ceremony for the last 32 years. And we have some clips of yesterday in New York that he held. And then we're going to have Unga Geneus. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. But let's get to this these women, right? What did Boakaima do? I have this reflection out on my website that you guys can go ahead and see. But essentially, Boakaima ended up in the victory of Vertier 13 years later, and we abolished slavery, got rid of colonialism, direct colonialism, forced assimilation, where they would constantly be raping us in order to make property and to assimilate us into their profit over people culture. So that's what it did 231 years ago. But the mindset, the plantation mindset, has never stopped beating us to a pulp. So today you have an exodus in Haiti, you have an invasion that's been very direct since 2004, and some people go back to 1915, some people go back to 1806, right? So they are constantly trying to stop these things that our ancestors just wanted to do. They just want self-reliance, vivre, la cour, combite, jardin, a space where they made their own food, they shared it amongst themselves, and make that a priority before export. But the European, they want you to export, and that's it. That's what slavery was about. So all of these things are very important. I want to also say that the Free Haiti movement, in all the years we've been working, we have come to this. We say that the state is captured. The state, right? Port-au-Prince, where the Europeans are. It's captured. They control the banks, they control the credit, they control the politicians and the fake elections. But since we are Dessalines descendants and Gungiton's descendants, we still have to work and say, what would it look like if Dessalines and Gungiton and Défilé were here? And I have something called the 3 Èzili Dantò principle for a new world. And I want to just share them with you very quickly. Everybody knows we say that Haiti has been paid for 100 times. It should only belong to Haïtiens, the descendants of Bois-Caïman. So it should be a World Heritage Site, because what we accomplished, what our ancestors accomplished, and the fact that I'm here and you are here, Haïtien, is a miracle. Because the greatest powers on the planet have been trying to destroy and exterminate you for 231 years. So we say, we are living on this island that they have put us in. It's almost a prison. So it makes people, the exodus right now, there's a Haïtien drowning because the fire that has been put in Haiti. And what's that fire? The inability to vivre, the inability to work, combit, right? The inability to have proper familial laku, the inability to eat. Add that, high cost of living and gas shortages, and you pretty much have what's going on in Haiti. So one hemispheric passport, Haiti's World Heritage Site, you can come in, let us develop our own indigenous lacus. You can come in, see who and what we are. And as you watch Gamboa today, that's who and what we are. That's what you would see in Haiti if you allowed us to just be and live, right? So, and then 1 minimum wage, I always say, because if there was 1 minimum wage, nobody would leave Haiti. Okay. All right. So the Haitian Revolution started with the conch, right? That essentially, sorry, I put the sound down, right? That essentially, sorry, I put the sound down. Okay. Okay. Who were this special group of people who started the Haitian Revolution? A group of women. This special group of people. Who were they? Who started the Haitian Revolution? A group of women. This special group of people. Who were they? Who started the Haitian Revolution? A group of women. Okay, I have to go back and mute the Facebook so that it does not go back and mute the Facebook. Sorry about that. Sorry about all that stuff. So that it does not go back and mute the Facebook. Sorry. Okay, here we go again. So where was I? All right, people. It's August 14th, 1791. And it's a full moon. And it's a Sunday like today. And it's raining. What you're looking at is Gamboa's artwork. And in the middle is Jean-Jacques Dessalines, our founding father. So it's raining, but this meeting has been planned. This meeting has been planned by these women who had special privileges in a society where Black people had no privileges, even the free Blacks. did not have as many privilege as these women. Okay. And they plan, this is a map of how this revolution started. You could see that it went from the Akul, right there on the 22nd, right? It started on the 22nd. So at Bois-Caïman, it was a war congress. There was 200 overseers, delegates, plus people from every sector, right? If Cécile Fatima was there, then so was Marie-Louise Quadavid, because they tell us that that's her sister. And how old was Cécile Fatima? Well, she was actually, she was actually 16 years old. I have here, I'm trying to, I want to show you relationships. I want you to see these people as people, not just historical figures, right? Like how were they related? The main person I'm going to be talking about is a African woman. A woman, they call her a negress. Women who are elderly, who had been enslaved and survived it. A lot of them, after all of that, these women, they were given it was a laity, it was a Catholic designation. They were a Catholic order. They were called Dede. Okay. I know you guys are going to see the famous Dede, you remember, right? But this one today, we're going to talk about Mambo Dede Magritte. You know, the first time I did a play about Bois-Caïman, it was at Glambois Place in New York in Prospect Park. And the woman I was playing, she had my colonial name, Marguerite. So I always remember that. But it took me all this time to bring her to you in full. Who was Mambo Dede Magritte? Imagine, she is known to be the advisor to Christophe. She is also known to have founded the first Vodun temple called Nancampèche in Cap-Haïtien. And every single one of these people you see on this list are from the north of Haiti. And where was the South in this revolution? We will do that maybe next year. But this year, these are all northern people. And we're going to talk about their relationship to each other. Mambo Dede Magritte. Dedes are a Catholic laic religion order. They are older, always African women who have so serviced the community. And they're not just servicing the enslaved community, but they are working with the priests, the white priests. And sometimes they have more power than the white priests. And I wonder why nobody ever told me about this group of women. And I'm going to tell you about this group of women today. And you're going to see another side of the Haitian Revolution. And you're going to see how mind-blowing it was and why they hate us so much. Okay, I want to tell you relationships, right? Henri Christophe, all these numbers you see in 1791, that was their age. Okay, so you can, like I'm doing a storyboard. Okay, and I have an artist that's going to put all of them to life. Okay, but for this presentation, all right, please forgive my bad artistry. I took pictures of what they might have looked like. Okay, and I'm going to show you the relationship. So Henri Christophe was 24 and said on August 14, 1791. Marie-Louise Quadavid, who will be his wife, was 13 years old. Cécile Fatima, who is her sister, was 16. Marie Dede, remember I told you about Dedes? They are elder Black women. Now you can restore, défiler. You can restore because her name is Marie Sainte Dèdè Brazil. She was a Dede. Bookman, you guys know, from Jamaica. He's an overseer. Glenn Guiton, you guys know, is the spiritual advisor to Dessalines. We know that Mambo Magritte was the spiritual advisor to Christophe, and I'm going to tell you how that came to be. And you know, I'm just putting all the parts together. Jean-Jacques Dessalines was 33 years old on August 14th. He was born in 1758. Don't know his aunt, the woman who went back into slavery. So we're going to be talking about two types of warrior African women. We're going to talk about the Dedes. The Dedes normally came from the Congo, right? They followed in, because the Congo had been Christianized for like 200 years before 1791 by the Portuguese. So like Queen Nzinga, these are the descendants of Queen Nzinga. And folks say Mambo Inan in Haiti is the representation of Queen Nzinga. And they say Queen Nzinga, that representation was the woman at Bois-Caïman, the African negress who did Bois-Caïman. That's why some people say it probably was not Cécile Fatima, because she wasn't that old woman that you see in the picture everybody uses to say Cécile Fatima. So I'm going to show you a picture of my imagination, right? So in a lot of books, they say that the Mambo who was at Bois-Caïman with Bookman, they describe her, as you see at the bottom here, as an old negress with strange eyes and bristly hair. Okay, now we know that Cécile Fatima is a mulatress with green eyes, a Corsican father, an African mother. But who was her African mother? Well, we are told in history, long ago when I was reading a Haitian history, that Majo, and you know, they don't really focus on the women. I had to really look, right? So her name, we are told today, of Cécile Fatima's mother. What we know is that Cécile Fatima was sold into slavery by her father, and that father sold her into slavery in Haiti. What I'm going to tell you today is that the man, the free Black male that purchased Cécile Fatima's mother and married her was the father of Marie-Louise Quadavid, who then would become Queen of Haiti. She is the wife of Henri Christophe. And these are the relationships, right? Now, how did Henri Christophe get to be connected to Marie-Louise Quadavid? Very important. He was from Grenada, and he was sold into slavery into Haiti. And at some point or the other, Marie-Louise's father, the free man, he bought that young man. Marie-Louise, free woman, devout Catholic, probably being taught by Dede Magritte, who has a saint, who is part of this group of women who live together because they're older. Slavery, they're no longer useful. So they protect themselves, but they serve the community because they fast, they pray. That's what they do constantly. And they have these spiritual powers because of what they're doing, the Dedes. So these women, there was a school in Okap. It was called the School of Notre Dame. And I was reading something, it reminded me of Marie-Louise, and I wondered about Marie-Louise and her and Cécile Fatima. She was 13 and Cécile Fatima was 16. So she could have still been in school. And that school could have been Notre Dame School for girls. And she would have been in contact with Mambo Dede Magritte, because we know that Mambo Dede Magritte became the spiritual advisor of her husband, and that her husband was a young boy when he came into her household, her father's household, right? He was a young boy. We know that Christophe actually was the drummer boy in 1779 at the Battle of Savannah. So he was in Haiti then. She fell in love with him, and she urged him, according to records, to try to buy his freedom. By the time of August 14, 1791, Henri Christophe was a free man. He was 22 years old. I'm sorry, did I say, let me see. He was 24 years old, but he was a free man, okay? And she was looking to marry him. She would marry him 2 years later in 1796. The revolution is started. He's moving on to becoming a general under Toussaint Louverture. And he marries the young woman who believed in him, who taught him how to read when he was a slave boy. And so these are the stories, okay? But let's go back to these Dahomean warriors, right? We know, everybody knows that Gantoya took, this is very important because people keep asking me, what do we have to do? Well, women, look about what these women were doing. All of you, I'm sure here, are older than Marie-Louise Quadavid. But she probably went with her sister, Cécile Fatima, and she was a devout Catholic. But we know that the ceremony at Bois Caïman was a ceremony for Vodun. And we know Bookman's prayer. We know all these people, George Biassou, Journeau, Jean-François, they probably were there at this stuff, except for Bois Montonnerre. He's in the South. Okay, so I wanted these stories, and I want to say something about Biassou because I normally don't, but Biassou was at Bois Caïman. But there's always that one or more than one today collaborator who ends up selling his own people out, right? Well, Biassou was one of those. Even though he was at Bois Caïman, he fought for the Spanish, and then he started selling his own soldiers as slaves to the Spanish. He ended up leaving Haiti when Toussaint beat the Spanish. And he went to Florida, and he was the first, what they call an African Cordello, a military leader with all kinds of honors in the army of Spain. That was Biassou. Now let's get to these women. These women, this is what's so important about these women, this category. This special category of women who had already lived slavery. They were elderly, they were part of the Catholic Church, but yet the greatest one of them was Dede Magritte of Nankampesh. So remember, right? If you're not celebrating Catholicism, they will kill you. But here's one woman and a group of women, African women, who were known because of their spiritual powers. They were clustered almost like in a convent. So these women are the ones that nobody told you about. And so you have Dede Magritte, who, like I said, she did the second meeting at Bois Caïman. So the first meeting was, they say Cécile Fatima. I think it was someone a little older than 16. And we're still looking for this Mambo Inan. I think she might have been a Dede because the Congo, you remember the call at Bois Caïman was Kanga Mandele, Kanga Bafiote, Kanga Najoki, Kanga Yo. That's in King Congo language. So that Mambo was speaking King Congo. And Dede Magritte came from the Congo. So think of these people working in community and you see a picture, all right? And think now of the Dahomean warriors, the mother warriors, the Ninos, right? You all saw Black Panther, sort of based on the Abaraya Toya, right? Tantoya. She taught Dessalines as a young man how to shoot, how to fight in hand-to-hand combat. Okay, so that's our story. Our story is of this tenacity of the African tradition, that even though those women, Dedes, were within the Catholic Church as a side order, right? They were healers, they were mystics, they prayed, and they had the ability to travel everywhere. And guess what they were doing? They were traveling to start a revolution. That is mind-blowing, right? So that love story I told you about. So imagine they had access to land, they can organize, they can preach. Dede Magritte was at the center of it all. And she's the most famous Vodouist. She was a spiritual advisor, I already told you about. So these women, these Black women, they live together in Cap-Haïtien, or in the area, think of that area of Normand des Mesures, okay? The citadel is about 20 minutes away, and Dede Magritte's Campeche is there. So when the August 14th happened, there were, so the Dedes, they had the ability to move around because they were so respected in that society. They were even more powerful, some people say, than the priests, right? Because they had been around for a long, long time. And they were respected because they were the midwives. Remember, they always tell you, you know, they were the midwives. That's what Marie Claire was one of the midwives. They were the midwives. They provided services to every sector of the society, to the Maroons, to the overseers. They provided to the whites, right? The priests and those people who needed help, right? Because they had herbal knowledge. Because Dede Magritte, and I just put this picture here just to give you an idea. Let's say that's Dede Magritte, right? She's a spiritual advisor. Here you have at the top, I want you to show you Queen Nzinga, because they're from the Congos. The Dedes were from the Congos. And there's a famous woman, her name was Kempavita, and she was also a Congolese woman who was fighting the Portuguese, and she was trying to use Catholicism to say that this is not right. And she was a Black Catholic prophetess. And then you have, I put a young picture of Marie Quadavid. That would be, she was 13. That's what she would look, you know, so you could see this story, right? But how mind-blowing is it that a group of elderly Black women from Africa who've gone through slavery, who are now banded together because their life is almost over. They're spending the rest of their days doing charitable work, and they're revered, right? And the name of Dede Magritte, her colonial name was Marguerite Jean Vodou. So even the priests knew that that was her name. This is before slavery ended. So to me, it's mind-blowing that these were the women that have open passes to move, the women that people think are so passive, so beaten up, that they just accommodate everybody in society. And yet they organized Kupitet Bulekai. They went to war. They went to war. I in this picture here, I show you the connections, right? You see, I have Cécile Fatima because she's young. She's 16 years old in 1791. Next to her, she has an African mother. I just took that. Her name is Celestina Quadavid. And then her young sister, Marie-Louise Quadavid, who's 13. Underneath there, you'll see at where the dress is for her mother. So you could see that she would become later on in 1811 the queen of Haiti, because she married that young slave boy that her father had bought, because he worked hard at this. They had a hotel in Cap Haitien. So I just want you to get a very big picture of these people and how they interconnected. So Wakayima wasn't just like, they knew each other. And the Dedes, they're the ones that got all of the commanders together and had all these meetings. Imagine the story, right? And then on the side, we have Dede Magritte, and then all the top Congo women. Because when you go to La Kusukri, they tell you that they're celebrating Ren Congo, right? When you do the Brakayima call, it's in the Congo language. Mambo Inan came from the Congo, and so did Dede Magritte. So I'm going to, I think it's some time for me to, I'm going to, whatever we don't do today, we will follow up. But so the Dedes were Catholic Vodouist, but really, they were never really Catholics, because even though she had a Vodun temple before almost before our independence, right? That's unheard of, right? They used to kill you if you're not a Catholic, but she was so respected. But so was, this is sort of a picture of the Dahomean warriors. So we had the Dedes that came from Congo, and then we had the Dahomean warriors, and the most famous Dahomean warrior in Haiti is Tantoya. So that woman you see standing next to, that's Tantoya. When you guys see Black Panther, because Tantoya was teaching Dessalines how to fight. She had those sticks. She taught him all these things. So there were two types of women warriors in Haiti. The Dedes from the Congo, represented by Dede Magritte, and probably Défilé, because her name is Dede. Mai said Dede Basile. Okay, so now we're going to lift her up and restore her. She's not a, this is just a picture of these ruthless Dahomean warriors, right? So these warriors, after they had been enslaved, they're going to do this revolution. Okay, now I have, I was playing Dede Magritte right there at Gambois' place. And that was like decades ago. So she's always been someone that I've been looking to give more face to. And now we know that who she was and so on. So that was Dede Magritte. And I have a recording from Unga Genelus about Dede Magritte. He has a laku in Unga Genelus has a laku in Guanaive. He's part of the Vodouist Confederation. And I said to him, I'm going to be concentrating on Dede Magritte and the warrior women who were very religious, but who went to war to kill the very people in the society that sometimes they were healing. And then he told me about, he sent me, and I know it's almost time, but let me, I'm gonna play a little bit of it, but we're gonna continue to play what he sent to me in the second part of this event on the 16th and then on the 17th. on the 21st. So let me let you hear just a little bit, okay? Because this is sort of very important. Okay, so this is when I do research, I go to a lot of different lacus, and I said, you know, let me know. So here it is.
Bonjour ou bonsoir tout le monde. Ça parle de l'heure. N'attendez audio ça. C'est un plaisir pour me rentrer la caille nous dans l'heure ça. N'importe l'heure qui n'attendez audio. Je vous demande de Èzili Dantò, c'est maîtresse pays d'Haïti, personnifiée, qui font un travail extraordinaire à travers le monde là, ou plus particulièrement à travers le pays d'Haïti. Qui font un travail de restructuration, un travail de motivation, un travail de sensibilisation, disons mieux, un travail d'éducation culturelle.
He's talking directly from Haiti.
Moi, vous voyez ça, c'est justement, si je demande mon beau Èzili Dantò, c'est pour me capable de parler nous un peu de une potorique femme qui c'était potomitan ou Henri Christophe, et que à travers persécution qui était gagnée contre Vodun dans le pays d'Haïti, pour toute femme ça, malgré l'été qui est mort, l'été qui est allé à l'ADA, ça n'a pas empêché qu'il ait écrasé Cavri, il prend Zol et séparé Zoli, il était rejeté dans le pays d'Haïti. Monsieur, dame chrétien, il prend Zol pour toute femme ça, il écrasé Cavri, pour séparer un peu partout. On va parler aujourd'hui des gangas comme ça. On dit patience, m'a venu. Qui est-ce qui Dede Marguerite? Dede Marguerite, c'est une femme qui n'a pas dû passer inaperçue dans l'histoire du pays d'Haïti. Puis c'est mon Okap. Et c'est mon Okap dans une zone qui est dans Campèche. Dans Campèche, c'est un haut lieu mystique, un haut lieu culturel au peuple haïtien. Dede Marguerite, c'était une femme et un mambo. Vrai nom, c'est Marguerite Jean Vodou. Comme il était une connaissance mystique, pendant la colonie Saint-Domingue, en Haïti, dans l'époque, depuis femme n'a gagné connaissance Vodou, il commencé à avancer en âge, il y a le Dédé. C'est pour raison ça que Marguerite Jean Vodou, il mettait qualificatif Dédé devant nous, il Dede Marguerite. C'est une vieille femme qui a un pouvoir religieux et pouvoir religieux ça, il était gagné là-dedans un peu de syncrétisme aussi. Dede yo, comme dit nous dans l'introduction, c'est une négresse. Tout d'abord, il faut que son nom appuyé pour Dede. Si son blanche pour ou pas qu'à Dede. Marguerite, qui te gagne l'âge, c'est conditions de réunir pour Dede, et puis il faut que son nom appuyé. Et troisième condition, regarde les conditions, c'est quoi non même, il faut qu'on gagne connaissance religieux, il faut un pouvoir religieux, pas seulement connaissance, il faut un pouvoir religieux. Ça veut dire que son femme qui est mystique. Lorsqu'il dans l'âge, il viendrait l'eau Dede. Donc, c'est dans ce sens-là, je te relais Marguerite, qui c'est un mambo qui t'a vécu dans Campèche qui sont lieux, qui c'est une zone dans le Cap haïtien, je te relais Dede Marguerite. Comme moi te dit tout à l'heure, il faut qu'on ait gagné un pouvoir religieux et syncrétique. Marguerite Jean Vodou, il était un pouvoir religieux parce qu'il était chargé ou ba jeune yo formation dans l'église catholique là dans l'époque. Membre de son état. Il s'est un matron. Il était responsable pour te former jeunes yo, pour préparer yo pour aller communier et ensuite préparer pour mariage. C'est une pratique dans l'église catholique. Avant mon marié, il faut qu'il place avant. Et bien, c'est les mêmes qui préparent pour placer. Après placer, il prépare mes jeunes, il forme, ils viennent marier, ils communion pour marier. Et ça fait un pouvoir. Nous te pris le pouvoir, un pouvoir syncrétique. Parce que pouvoir, ça m'a boîte gagné. En tant que Dede, c'est dans l'église catholique que j'ai un pouvoir réfléchir ça. Marguerite Jean Vodun, qui aurait les Dede Marguerite, il s'était conseillère au roi Henri Christophe, qui aurait les Christophe. C'était un membre qui était célèbre en pile. Christophe pas de cas vivre sans Dede Marguerite. Il n'y a pas rien que le fait sans Dede Marguerite. Et c'est Dede Marguerite ça, à la longue, qui vient créer tant dans le campèche qui a parlé aujourd'hui. Tant dans le campèche ça, qui à quelques kilomètres du Cap haïtien. Pendant la campagne anti-superstitieuse, ils ont crasé tombe Marguerite qui était mourir. Et puis, on prend Zo Marguerite, ils ont séparé, ils ont gaillé Zoli, ils ont séparé Zoli. Entre chrétiens, ils ont séparé Zoli, chacun, et puis Zoli, ils ont jeté, il était partout, pour diminuer la puissance que le gagné. Ça veut dire, même là, il mort dans tombe, Mambo, ça a encore un pouvoir. Et ce n'est pas pour cette raison, Christophe t'a fait Dede Marguerite, construit Templia, ça veut dire sanctuaire loi, on faut côté la servi loi là dans campèche, elle t'a fait en face citadelle Henri Christophe là. C'est pas de sans raison, Jean Marguerite Vodou, communément appelé Dede Marguerite, t'a fait Badjia face à citadelle La Ferrière, qui est citadelle Henri Christophe là. Positionnement ça, c'était une alliance mystique entre roi Henri Christophe et Dede Marguerite, qui t'a servi un archange, littéralement l'archange, la fleur de rose. Archange, la fleur de rose, et c'est un ça qui était dominé Badji, ça veut dire sanctuaire que Marguerite a dirigé. Puis devant, on va dire pour qui ça? Marguerite baptisé sanctuaire ça, sanctuaire de l'archange, la fleur de rose. La fleur de rose sont des demoiselles qui disparaissent dans de l'eau. Ils disparaissent dans de l'eau. Ils ont les mambo durant. C'est pour raison ça, Marguerite les sanctuaire là, la fleur de rose, les balles pour tes noms, jeune mambo ça, qui te disparaît dans l'eau. Leur a prié toujours gagné, un esprit, un archange, qui prend prière là, qui capte prière, l'intercepte, et puis pour le poter, le bon Dieu. C'est ça, monde qui fait grand recherche dans la religion, il fait comprendre. Eh bien, à quand ça, littéralement, barakiel, l'irélé barakiel, pas littéralement, l'irélé barakiel, B-A-R-A-C-H-I-E-L, barakiel. À quand ça, aujourd'hui, dans l'église orthodoxe, comme Jean Marguerite Vodou, c'était un membre qui était très synthétisé, en référence à un ça qu'on joue dans l'église orthodoxe de Barakiel, Marguerite, te baille, temple pour te non ça. Il faut combinaison de jeunes membres plus Barakiel, qui c'est un ange qui dans l'église orthodoxe, qui servait intermédiaire entre humain avec Dieu, il va porter nous ça. Et associé avec rose là, qui symbolisait la grâce divine, qui toujours répandue sous Barakiel, eh bien, il va porter nom la rose. Ça signifie bénédiction de Dieu. Barakiel, qui signifie bénédiction de Dieu. Et rose là, qui c'est un million, un parfum, qu'on embaumé. Là, il a servi Barakiel, il a servi avec lui pour interpeller Barakiel. Eh bien, il fait combinaison de Nomamboa plus esprit ça, qui est les Barakiel là, qui servent intermédiaire entre les humains et Dieu, pour les capables de non ça, avec Badji ça que le gagne en face citadelle là. Dede Marguerite, c'est pas une femme comme ça. Et c'est une femme qui était toujours accompagnée au roi Henri Christophe dans le combat que l'a mené pendant toute guerre pour l'indépendance. C'est ça que nous le retenons. C'est une femme qui était bras droit. Henri Christophe, il peut quoi? Il était toujours sorti avec Henri Christophe. Donc c'est ça que fait, ordinairement, les nègres fait mystique, il y a toujours une femme beaucoup côté. Femme, c'est potomitan dans toute religion. Et ou pas une force mystique, c'est pas une femme qui a droit tout pour aider ou faire bataille là. Comme Dede Marguerite, c'est un membre qui était très puissant, bras droit Henri Christophe, et que c'est Barakiel lui-même, il était vénéré pour bailler pour non temple, eh bien, tu as gagné une loi, Henri Christophe te qu'on a servi, qui t'est soulevé contre Henri Christophe parce que c'est Barakiel qui a dominé le temple. Loi ça a été Nana Boukoulou. Nana Boukoulou. Nana Boukoulou, c'est non loi Henri Christophe te qu'on a servi, qui est Henri Christophe pouvoir que le te gagné. Et du fait que c'est Barakiel que Christophe, à travers Mambo, Jean, Marguerite, Vodou, vénéré, eh bien, mécontent de vénération ça, n'en a beaucoup loup, qui c'est loi principale Henri Christophe là, mécontent, eh bien, terrasser Henri Christophe là. Il persécute Henri Christophe, il bouleverse Henri Christophe. Et c'est grâce avec Mambo ça qui fait Henri Christophe pas mourir très bonheur. Et Nana Bakoulou tellement persécuté par mécontentement Henri Christophe, moun qui dissuadé pouvoir Nana Bakoulou qui empêchait que les boycotter Henri Christophe dans toute intégralité, c'est Mambo ça qui c'est Jean Marguerite Vodou et les Dede Marguerite. Ils ont un surnom, Dede Marguerite, qui était toujours accompagné Christophe, qui c'est impératrice, qui était toujours là avec Christophe, tout côté le passé pour intercéder pour lui, qui c'est bras droit. Après Dede Marguerite fin participer à ensevelissement, ça veut dire enterrement pour Christophe, il te prend décision pour te quitter dans Campèche. L'histoire par rapport à nous, que tu as une chance de te quitter dans Campèche, nous avons dit nous de toute logique, parce que ton nid jusqu'au nia reste ton bois, toujours dans Campèche, côté de Marguerite, tu es enterré. Mais après l'an mort, Henri Christophe, il était quitté dans Campèche. C'était un membre de premier rang qui t'a fourni une remarquable contribution avec non seulement formation physique, formation religieuse, morale, pays d'Haïti. Il joue un rôle important dans la fondation pays ça. Et ou pas qu'à parler de fondation pays d'Haïti, sans pas faire référence à Mambo, à Grit, communément appelé, qui est les Jean Marguerite Vodou. Jean Marguerite Vodou, Jean Marguerite Vaudou, dit Dede Marguerite, c'est un potoriquement beau, c'est potomitan, c'est une héroïne. Une héroïne qui subit en pile persécution, surtout en bas révisionniste, ou déformé, presque fait oublier support que le débat à fondation pays ça. À tel enseigne, dans campagne yo t'a fait, dans des choucages yo t'a fait, rejeté que yo t'a fait contre vaudou haïtien, bien que Marguerite te mouri, il a crasé ton nez pour prendre sol pour disperser un peu partout. Du point de vue de vaudou, chaque vaudou a une loi qui met li. C'est vrai, Marguerite, te bay temple pour tes noms, Barakiel, le Rose, etc., par rapport à la fréquentation de l'église catholique que te qu'on fait. Mais ça peut empêcher, Badia, comme c'est Mambo Manzeye, vaudou pas bay le gain, et bien, il y a une loi. Il y a une loi dans le panthéon vaudou haïtien qui lui-même était occupé tant dans le campèche là, depuis les Marguerite là, c'est lui-même qui était potomitan dans le temple là.
Thank you. So we are going to, I'm trying to stop this, everybody. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, great. Can you see me at all? Oh, no, you can't see me, right? Okay.
Just your picture.
Okay, thank you. Oh my goodness. I for some reason, I don't know how to, okay, here it goes. Okay, everybody. I hope you took all of that in, right? Because it was just too hard for me to do the translation. So I did those slides just in terms of like how I look at all of it, but you know, listen to his voice and what he's saying also. But for me, the most important thing is to understand that a Vodouist in 1791 with a UFO, but she names it after a Catholic archangel because she has to survive, right? And maybe because she sees him, this archangel Bakiel, I looked him up, is sort of the intermediary in between God and the people. And maybe she saw him as a Loa, right? And this, when he talks about this trouble that Christophe had, you know, in the book I'm writing, in the movie I'm making, and I'm also putting it out here. Please, anyone who wants to invest in what I'm doing right here, help me, because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to continue doing this with my own resources. But I would say, to me, based on what he just said, you remember Henri Christophe died of a stroke? And one of the things I read about Dede Marguerite, actually in the book of Mimos Beaubois, was that she was specifically good at helping people who had epilepsy. So I wonder, you know, in the book that I will write, that will be sort of like taking liberty, I would say that she was always there to help him with to heal him. In addition to the fact that she was at the head, she went into battle with this man, but she was a devout Catholic in the front of all of the white world. But in her world, she was meeting with the overseers. She was meeting with the kitchen cooks. She met with all of them to plan Bois Caïman. And to me, that's a vision I want to share with you that I think is tremendous. And I'm hoping that you guys will ask questions. So here we are going to now have some amazing fun with Grambois. I mean, this man is art itself. Honestly, he is art itself. And I'm going to try, I don't know what you're seeing. I hope you're seeing me. I'm going to try to share my screen again and play some Grambois. What's going on? Okay, play some Grambois for you guys. Okay, so I have to go. Okay, so Grambois does the Bois Caïman presentation every year. Yesterday was his 13th year. And he you know, I have this story that that I sent out yesterday. Now, you know what? Let me just. This is the. Oh, shoot. This is the Citadel, right? Remember he was saying her Dede Magritte's Ufal is right across from the Citadel. So, oh, where is it? Just give me a sec, because if I stop, what's going to happen is that okay, so we'll do the Bois Caïman prayer next time, but here I want to get to. He's been waiting so patiently. Fritz is here. Fritz took some. This is Grambois. And I'm gonna have, I don't know, is Fritz here? Because Fritz was going to introduce him as soon as I play this. And then I will, so Grambois is an artist, a sculptor, an Unga who holds the Bois Caïman ceremony in New York at Prospect Park in a section that was named for him called Grambois, that was named for the métette that he had. And this is how you live authentically Haitian. This is all his artwork. Fabulous. These are our treasures.
Ça c'est grand bois fait là et depuis le ça me senti non aller.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to some and we acquaint those who've been with me. He was here with me before. This is Grambois. This is Deep Batzile. And he has carried our culture his whole entire life. This is the stump. Like the story goes that Gamboa was walking through this area by the lake of Prospect Park, and he saw a tree stump. And he decided to do this. And the rest is history. Fritz, would you please kindly introduce Gamboa for me?
Thank you, Mrs. Dantò. It is a pleasure, an honor to be here with you today, the 14th of August 2022, as we honor the Wakaima that brought us forth, that allowed us to be who we are today.
Mike, could you center on him?
And introducing Gamboa, it is truly an honor, right? And I want to make sure I put the mic right on Gamboa, so we can all appreciate him as he presents today, right? In thinking about how to introduce Gamboa today to this audience, I just wanted to say, from my perspective, who Gamboa is and what he represents to me, right? I was born in Haiti, but came young in these United States, and I was raised as an American, right? I had American family, and I was raised with them. Played football, and I moved to New York after college, right? Not really understanding the full power behind my heritage, right? And then one day, I happened to meet someone who played a tumble, and I walked into his business. From that point, I became acquainted with Gamboa, and he represents to me the natural essence. He is our ancestors being reborn, right? And through him, right, we are able to participate in the council of eldership, right? His art represents the culture in a fundamental way. He grounds us, right? And again, the ceremony here that is called Wakaima in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, New York, that we have these t-shirts made out for, and that we've been selling these this year, right? So if you want some of these, please get in contact with Mrs. Dantò. We will be sending her out a few so she can share with her audience as well, right? So this ceremony in Brooklyn, and as Gamboa puts it, is really to introduce, right, the Haitian children that were born here in these states, right, a way for them to reconnect with their roots. And from that standpoint, I want to say Aibobo, because Gamboa has done just that. For people like me, he has reconnected us to our culture, and now we are partaking and we are contributing meaningfully. And from that standpoint, I want to introduce to you guys Gamboa, the man and the legend.
Yes, welcome. Bienvenue.
Moi dis tout moun yo, moi retire chapeau. Moi baisser tête moi bien bas devant soldat Gilois yo. Moi sermenté 7 fois, 77 fois, 7 fois pour pas jamais trahir pays qu'il time c'est la vie c'est qu'il time. Surtout pour peuple haïtien. Merci en pile la famille.
So the floor, c'est où pour banou, sauve les banou, j'en vle banou là. OK? S'il te plaît.
Tout le monde connaît nom déjà parce que nom tout partout.
Mike, could you just make just him take everybody else out, you know, the little things, just give him that whole entire screen, please. If you can. I don't know if he's there. Mike, are you there?
He's on the spotlight. So
he is? You can't make it like, okay.
Now everybody have to individually adjust there to the full screen.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. All right. On met aller, oui. Excusez.
Tout le monde connaît déjà. Moi, les DEMS, D-E-E-N-P-S. Mais plusieurs monde les James, mais c'est pas James pour moi. non maman ma papa moi c'est Dems. Grand bois, tout le monde connaît, ça c'est nos spirituel moi et c'est nos moi mais en pile et l'aime tendre grand bois, l'homme on l'aime grand bois, me gain plus force. Bon, moi t'ai atterri dans New York en 79. En 80, je viens évoluer dans Prospect Park. Ça veut dire que tout le temps me dit ça, Prospect Park fait partie de vie. Prospect Park, c'est là où je joins roots, moins bat, racines moins bat encore. Parce que l'aime sur Haïti, bon, c'est dans l'autre position. En forme dit tout, Guinée a gagné une mission pour moi. Parce que je n'ai fait loi, l'aime Haïti. C'est garder mission, ça est cap fait journée jeudi là dans la cour Grand Bois en dans Prospect Park qui vient gagner une grosse cérémonie historique chaque année nous fait c'est que Guinée a gagné une histoire ou soit une cause le devrait venir faire. Moi prends cause à main et m'a continue faire Jean frère grand frère me dit là même si je plus l'âge passé, mais c'est grand frère.
Mike, can you play one of his, look for like the very last night, that piece last night that I sent maybe this morning? Can you play that?
Yeah.
You can look for it.
Yeah, and by the way, Ms. Dantò, I want to apologize last night.
I know.
No, but here it is, right? The Bois Calumet is really an experience.
Yeah.
And for us living here in New York, understanding the process of the natural order, the spring, bringing forth summer, bringing forth fall, bringing forth winter, right? The Bois Calumet really culminates to us, right? Where we go and get our energy, right? To carry us forth.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Give me 1 second. Mike, can you play anything from yesterday? Because I don't see it in the Google Drive. Mike? Okay. Oh, you can go. Okay, I'm looking to see if I can find some of the. Okay, here we go. This is yesterday. Gambwa wadzinu kisana garela. Gamboa, parlez-nous, non. Dis-nous ça, moun yo, qui moun sa yo, ye, ça n'a fait là.
Bon, premièrement, côté te gen baleine lui-même, c'était Youveve qui l'a. C'est Youveve d'Ambala Wedo et Aïda Wedo qui signifie la médecine en l'amour avec sagesse, connaissance. On connaît que les finis li représente tout sexe. Ça veut dire que l'autre ouais et lumière tant que 8 là, c'est deux couleurs vieux qui t'ont rencontré pour recréer encore. OK? Eh bien, ces balais nous mettez dans tout corps et VVA qui la close était paraît bien belle. Et c'est tout force tout parce que c'était dans poteau mi-temps tête couleur vieux tal rété. Ça veut dire que avec poteau mi-temps qui antenne ou soit l'aimant qui pourra aller esprit au descendre vinn fêter avec nous hier soir c'était belle bagaille. C'est au gros force parce que ça n'a fait pour l'œuvre là avec potomitan vinn rencontrer ensemble ça te fait au gros force parce que il descend l'esprit a vini ou grand ouais Jean Mounioté esprit a été présent.
Combien de temps nous t'ai fait l'autre bois? Qui l'a nous fini? Nous t'ai arrêté pour qui l'a?
2 heures comme ça.
2 heures.
Non, 9 heures.
9 heures. Et monsieur, comme tu es qui tape dansé, est-ce que tu prends loi ou bien?
Monsieur bien loi sur lui, c'est un monde qui est très reconnu. C'est Jean Sorel Francillon.
OK.
Avec Mami Jo.
Ah oui. I see. Mike, could you put the one with the girls painting when you have a chance? So chaque année, ou commencer et on a fait vert. Est-ce que vous avez un particulier vert que vous toujours mettez?
Non, moi mettez vert. Plus souvent je fais minocan dans mi-temps dans pied poto mi-temps. Minocan on connaît.
Expliquez-moi ça veut dire minocan.
Minocan c'est toute loi qui a tiré de lui parce que li gon signe toute loi la donne. Et là si vous pas besoin de faire plusieurs verves ou verves minocan seulement, là, pour étant en relais tout esprit vini, soit vin bambouché, ou soit vin Bossal qui a passé dans le monde là, vin éclairer, vin bonne lumière.
OK. Est-ce que minocan est allié avec vilocan?
Non, minocan. Mais il y a dérivé de vilocan tout.
OK.
Parce qu'on est après, on dit que un accident de fait là. C'est pas vrai? C'est fini. Comme monde qui voulait raconter mon accident. Si on rencontre 5 personnes, c'est 5 histoires différentes.
Oui, c'est ça.
Parce que par le droit, il est toujours en plus, ou soit en moins, il est limité.
Yeah. Mike, did you find that the girls? I see some of the children that were at the space, and let me see. Maybe I'll put it through from my so moi que est-ce que tu gen on connaît gen deux fois ou gen drumming pour ti moun yo? Tu gen drumming année ça?
Non, pas réel, pas de gain drumming pour ti moun année ça, pas de gain.
Même te OK, you t'a fait art, right?
Mais nous te gagné yo au groupe qui relait flamboyant qui dansé.
Oh.
C'est au Congo.
Yeah,
Ibo.
M'devoye clip ça ba ou le 10 minutes.
Yo de dansé. Yeah, c'était belle bagaille. Les filles ti moun k'ap fait dessin.
Ou tu voyez ba moi ou dit 10 minutes?
Oui, this is a 10 minute clip.
So moun k'ap danser?
Timon Kina Flamboyant, the literacy project at Flamboyant. So every year they participate by doing a specialized dance for the community. My daughter was a part of it last year. This year there was only 5 selected girls. And it's a beautiful dance that kind of brought together the entire, what we call the Grand Bois, en famille Grand Bois, right?
Okay, because I don't see that. I just see this children instructors, and I have the night stuff. I just got
Yeah, she said
What a masterpiece, Lana.
one shirt. Oh, I don't know. I made the clouds a little.
yeah, that's my niece, everybody.
What is
Anna,
that,
hi,
Sky?
Sky.
Tell me, turn around and tell me what that is. Wait, is it busy?
She's busy. Daddy, how dare you?
Hi, Lana.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But I'm gonna they have
What is it? What is it?
painting right now. It's like a forest. Maybe actually, maybe a little bit.
See, this is what community is. Thank you. I don't have this dance. If I had it, I would play it. Do you have it with you somewhere?
I can get it from my phone if you give me a few, but how would I be able to get it to you when you play right now?
If you send it to, you have the number for Mike? Send it to Mike and Mike will play it. Pala ave nou nan, nou gen moun la ki pou al mande ou keksyon. Mpa konen sou bezwen, ou ta bezwen bay ou mesaj avant nou komanse ouvert pour question?
Yeah, on voulait parler sur l'importance en bois caïman qui fait en dans New York là.
Ok, s'il te plaît.
Tout le monde connaît que bois caïman avant, et histoire à parler, tout le monde connaît. Mais l'importance en bois caïman en dans New York dans prospect pack là, c'est que il y a un paquet de petits monde haïtiens qui fait ici dans New York là, yo pas connaît ça les bois caïman. Mais à cause de bois caïman, nous renouveler parce que m'baka dit nous fait parce qu'il était fait déjà parce que ça papa de Saline te fait personne pas qu'à refaire encore. Mais nous-mêmes nous là pour renouveler mémoire mon yo, faire songer Guinéen yo, famille nous yo, ça te semblait avec nous yo, te gon travail yo te fait, nous doit faire travail la marcher puis devant parce que nous-mêmes nous still in life.
C'est ça.
Oui, toujours. Bon travail pour nous faire. Et bien, ce travail, ça, Guinéen, te voit, pas qu'on connaît. Pas de connaître, non. Mais Guinéen, te connaît. Et bien, ce travail, ça m'a fait dans New York, là, dans la coupe Brooklyn. Quel que soit mon nom, depuis le rencontre avec, m'a passé au message là. Forme de constater, pas oublier Guinéen, non, parce que Guinéen, te voit quel travail. Si je ne dis à nous qu'à camper, à garder tout le monde dans le granger et il dit tout. Et ce n'est pas faute non qui fait nous garder le monde dans c'est parce que papa de Saline fait nous grands. Bois caïman, c'est lui-même qui fait nous pas chiens, je dis. Si nous pas de bois caïman, nous tapons pour tous. Nous n'avons pas qu'à comprendre ça. Avec petit haïtien qui fait ici, yo, avec ça, tout Haïti petit, yo, et avec ça, maman, yo, pas jamais ba éducation de bois caïman, parce que, premier, ça, dit, son bagay diable. Ce bagay, ce série, ce bagay, oh oui, papa de Saline, bah, nous liberté, trop bonheur. Tant qu'on nous te doué dans l'esclavage, qu'on l'a pour. Pas comprendre rien. C'est important, ce bois caïman, ça, dans New York, là. Et il y a un pile monde qui m'a respect, et il y a un pile monde qui aime même. Je suis content, Jean Guinéen, femme, je suis content en pile, moi, je vie dans ce sens-là.
Et vous faites bien.
I
mean, views sont hautes. Même views sont hautes. Pas même ça fait, non, Gamboa. Views, gens à vivre sont hautes.
C'est ça te fait que.
C'est qui est important.
C'est ça te fait que si je connais quel que soit ce que je fait qui n'est pas bon, même les gens veulent faire, je ne connais pas bon. Conscience ne connaît pas bon. Si tu es à classe et tu es qui pas bon, je vais mener le bail moun. C'est parce que c'est force liée. Parce que Atla fait partie de Vodun à tout. Parce que tout ça m'a fait dans Atla, me fait selon qu'il time. C'est ça de mon évolution tout en place. C'est ça te fait de mon valeur à tout. Parce que moi représenter peut-être moi représenter monde moins hier dans Atla. C'est quoi Samuel?
C'est ça.
Merci Guinée autour.
Mais oui, mais oui. So, anybody, gen moun ki vle fon ti pala avec Gambois, li la, oui? Ou met, ben mwen.
Bien, hein?
Ya, ma pe. That's not working. Just trying to share with you. Gambois, this is yesterday. You guys can go to our, page and you will see, look at that beautiful art. And this was yesterday at Prospect Park. And this is Gambois' work. Thank you for putting there, Mike. I don't know if Fritz has sent you the dancing. If that, when you have that, we can share that. Meanwhile, anybody have any questions? Just put up your hand and we will do that. Mike, anybody there asking anything? Mike? Fritz, did you send the video?
Yes, it's prepping. It's sending it to Mike right now. So Mike, you should receive it in about 30 seconds.
Okay. In the meanwhile, people, I know we're okay, so we're good. We're good with the time and everything. So Gambois, est-ce qu'on gen une place dans New York côté ou van so fait yo?
Moi pas gon place exactement, mais moi gen un studio la kay moi.
Okay.
Moi gen tout map kembe pour personnel ba moi et m'a vendre tout.
So si ou moun ta vle vin acheter un bagay, puis yo ka gen Gambois la kay yo, ki sa yo fait?
Yo ka vini nan adresse moi parce que faut nous réagir yo pour yo pour ça yo remet.
OK.
C'est dans 730 Flatbush Avenue. Et en Waldorf en Parkside.
OK.
Téléphone c'est 347 574 70 27.
OK. So people, nous connaissons que travail ça que la faire, c'est important, moun qui ouais qui jan bay ça gen valeur. Pour nous prendre en contact avec Gambois et pour supporter lui, pour aller acheter art ça yo, bay ça yo, m'abdou bay yo tellement belle, pas seulement belle, mais gon valeur spirituelle là-dedans yo. Est-ce que vous comprenez? So, m'ta invité tout le monde, s'il te plaît. Si vous voulez un bagay authentique haïtien, ou pas joindre rien qui plus authentique que ça qui sorti la main grand voilà. Ou pas joindre. Ou pas ou ka en Haïti ou à l'hôtel, y a vendre bagay, mais si vous voulez ça qui gagne curly là-dedans. Travail li gagne curly là-dedans. Et c'est ça qui fait, you know, li la côté lié a. Je dis à, li sont librairie pour nous. He's a living library. Li sont moun qui représente nous là. Où est toute image où est en Haïti? Y a toujours ba ou bagay négatif. Mais ça nous gagne là mais nous là. Mais Jean nous belle. Non, li c'est Gambois.
Merci.
Eh bien, c'est pas une question là. Mappé,
And Madam Dantò, another thing I want to add about,
Matado.
like another thing I wanted to add about Gamboa, pour moun ka comprendre bien. Yon ba ekele, spécialement dans culture haïtienne là, c'est ba ekele collaboration,
Mhm.
right? And what I find extraordinary about Gamboa is his ability to collaborate across Laku, right? And even across cultures. He's very welcoming. He welcomes other cultures to come and better understand our culture, which has been, historically misunderstood for so long. His sense of collaboration has affected me to where I'm able to collaborate better with others. And I think that's one thing that's overlooked in Gumbo's contribution is his sense of collaboration and how he facilitates that for so many different people.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Gamboa, wap kontinye fè bay chaque année, right? Wap kontinye fè bois caïman pour nous parler des ancêtres yo.
Eh bien, moi toujours dit que si je t'ai passé à me traverser,
Non.
le monde qui continue le travail là. Parce que Guinée a choisi mon niveau. Ça t'a dit c'est moi parce que je me bats dans la loi. Je dois penser sur petit moi, le vie sur l'autre monde d'ailleurs, Guinée a choisi. Et pas mon d'ailleurs, parce que nous tous ces frères et sœurs, mais sur l'autre monde qui pas dans le groupe là, ou soit qui pas connaît du grand bois qui vient tomber là en vie. On t'a continuer net, mais on connaît qu'on a faibli bah ça yo. Ça me dit qu'on fait avant, botter gros bout de bois, botter gros bagaille, botter du pile. Mais on connaît. Même temps pour travailler à continuer parce que si travail à camper, non, il n'est pas bon.
C'est ça. C'est ça. Là, ou toujours fait art, tambour, qui ça encore que ou fait là en New York, ou ka di moun yo?
Madame, moi fait business.
OK. Est-ce que son business que nous ka di moun yo pour supporter, son bagay qui de parler de nous parce que c'est ça nous là pour travailler en communauté, right? C'est ça qu'on dit là.
Nous-mêmes nous pas dans cachotterie. Nous avons un business sous flatbush que en dans caille, nous avons payé là au prix, puis à venir monter, nous pas qu'à quel business là, nous quitter mais actuellement là, madame moi gagne ouvert sous flatbush là. Nous avons tout produit, nous avons pas ticket. En face, même côté, nous avons gagné store.
Okay. Mike, I see somebody's hand. Could you put that person in? It's Ophoria.
Yes, greetings. Yes, Ophoria.
Go ahead, Ophoria.
I just wanted to, well, first of all, thank you so much for having this. And I thank Gamboa and everybody in New York for sharing this with us. Thank you. Merci en pile.
C'est travail nous.
Oui. I just wanted to make sure I got his information correctly because my Creole is not very strong. But from what I got, he said his address is 730 Flatbush Avenue.
Oui.
And the phone number is 34. Is that?
Between Parkside and Woodlawn.
Okay, merci. And the phone number is 347-574-7027.
Yes, oui.
Oh, I got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So anyone else? I think I see another hand, but I don't know what that is. If that was the same person. If I'm Walla, we'll see.
Okay, I just lowered it.
OK, pas gen moun qui vle parler de anken sa nou te dia, eh bien OK. Mike, do you have that video? Mike, when you have that video, would you let me know? You could start sharing it anytime. So, maman de nous, qui ça nous pense de Dede Magritte? Qui j'en nous vivre ça? Là, nous, ouais, que c'est un groupe de femmes africaines noires qui étaient déjà fini, ils étaient ravagés déjà en bas esclavage et a passé dernier jour ensemble en prière. Et c'est eux qui fait bois caïman. Ça nous pensez? Est-ce que nous te compte ça déjà? Moi que nous pas dire rien. Mais pour moi-même, ça, c'était tellement intéressant pour me faire mettre bio vie comme ça. Et pour moi, Mike, how long do you think before you get that queued up? Because I could put something else on. Mike?
Give me about 5 more minutes. The second part just came through, so it's up.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. So, nous t'avons bon manger l'autre bord?
Oui. Ça va nous parler?
Oui. Est-ce que Daoud t'a dit moi que il y a bon manger pour le manger?
Il y a bon manger l'autre bord et nous satisfait tout le monde de manger. C'était une sorte de unification. Tout le monde est senti à l'aise, tout le monde est tant qu'on vient de gagner un esprit calme qui te descend. Ou bien doit sentir présence esprit là parce que tout le monde vient donner une.
OK.
Oui, c'est tout bel bagaille. Les frères avec sœurs à manger ensemble.
C'est bon. C'est ça que les combits là, c'est ça que les la coua. Nous ça n'a parlé, c'est ça veut dire.
C'est ça combit là tête ensemble.
C'est ça lieu. C'est ça.
Nous voulons dire l'autre bas encore.
Oui.
Plusieurs fois les monde parler yo dit grand bois fait cérémonie bois caïman. Moi pas faire cérémonie bois caïman. Moi contribuer dans cérémonie bois caïman parce que si pas de tête ensemble, il pas d'ap réaliser. Parce que c'est pas moi seulement qui fait toute bagaille. Il y a plusieurs monde, mais Fritz by forcefully. On prend pour à faire photo, caméra, by ça yo.
Right.
Après journée de l'or qu'a joindre Fritz voyez de toi et vidéo pour vous pour montrer l'autre monde mais travail qui on prend ça veut dire seulement. C'est toute l'équipe. Mais ça me toujours dit tout le monde qui contribue dans cérémonie bois caïman dans prospect pas c'est que yo étais là déjà dans première cérémonie et ça te fait au calage aujourd'hui aïe beaucoup.
Oui.
In light of that, I want to remind folks, especially for those of you who are tuned in and people who will be watching the recording later on in their gadgets or in their comfort of their homes, that there is a way to participate and get involved with the committee of Bois Caïman. Like Gamboa said, this is l'assemblement. This is a main ensemble, tête ensemble.
Chai Balou.
Right? Chai Balou. And that being said, there is a committee that facilitates the Bois Caïman that's been doing that for the past 5 years, right? And again, we're talking about transitioning of the core responsibilities of planning and executing the Bois Caïman moving forward so we can have legacy to live for the future, right? If you want to get involved with the committee, you can contact the Flamboyant Haitian Literacy Project. You can look them up online, Flamboyant, FLANBWAYAN, Flamboyant, right? And you will find, you'll be able to contact them and let them know that you want to participate in the Bois Caïman committee, right? We do convene every Friday in a session called En Bâtonnel, where we educate, we inform, and we plan on a variety of events, which includes the Boakayama. So yes, if you do want to get involved, please feel free to contact Gamboa, contact Flamboyant, and you will be able to participate somehow, some way.
Great, great. Catherine, you can unmute yourself and ask, Catherine, où met man des questions, sou ka parler.
Merci en pile, Èzili Dantò, merci en pile Gamboa.
You're welcome.
Eh bien, deux questions de gagner. Bon, en pile question, parce que ou ba nous en pile information important, intéressant et inspirationnel. Mais deux questions que je voulais poser aujourd'hui à Youn, si ou t'as aimé parler de gens loyaux te réclamé ou le te venu New York parce que tu fais allusion à ça, qu'on pas vraiment dans bagay voodoo aller au la caille, c'est le venu ici. Et puis deuxième bagay là, si t'as l'air comme ça, Èzili Dantò te fait allusion à fait que Dede Marguerite li bon, li ka difficile pour passer dans une institution comme l'église catholique pendant branché avec communauté. Est-ce que il y a une histoire spécifique comme si Jean était navigué dans rôle ça? Ça c'est des plus gros questions pour le moment. Merci un peu.
OK.
C'est comme
Bon, ma fait histoire coup de main sur histoire li ta cap en n'importe 2-3 semaines.Sos amis moi te gagné que qui t'ai invité mal bon pack là. En tant bon pack là, m'entendit tambour à jouer. C'est dans ce sens ça moi entrer en dans pack là, me commencer comprendre racine moi bac. Et bien qu'on est là, m'te gagné un petit skill team te fait bon côté John Minseko côté me dans des tambours. On a l'esprit voyer mal chercher au plus gros chou bois et qui c'est premier chou bois m'te esquilté qui était 5 pieds de hauteur et fin était réellement au pied bois qui large. On bon moi esquilté li c'est dans ce sens ça les que vinn commencer à faire cérémonie bois caille moi là ça y pas moi t'a faire c'était l'autre grand que m'ont invité qui pouvait faire pour moi et parce que pas ko initier. C'est dans ce sens ça me vinn que initiation faut me faire parce que gain c'est de bail cap fait moi doit connaître moi doit partager et force mystique dans la dedans tout et puis c'est dans ce sens ça me devine mal prend et mal prend à son et puis moi vinn nous mettre là Guinée en tout c'est là me dit Guinée réclamer il passer par Skiltia pour spectacle de quoi pour m'ka vinn moun moyen qu'on est là. Vous comprenez?
Oui, merci.
Deuxième question.
The children from yesterday. I'll talk to you later after this. Thank you. So that was the group from Flamboyant, right?
Flamboyant Haitian Literacy Project. So these are children who come from Haiti. Some of them are deeply rooted in their culture, but you know, like they trying to navigate the school systems in New York and elsewhere. So Flamboyant does a great job really being available, making themselves available to these students to help them assimilate to the educational system in New York and to get them to advanced schooling, which is some of them goes to college, help some of them find jobs. It is truly a remarkable organization, and I do encourage anybody, you know, who wants to contribute, who wants to donate as well, right? To get in contact with them. They're doing a fabulous job at what they're doing.
Oui, so tout le monde, autant de ça dit, et depuis longtemps, Flamboyant a fait travail ça. Et c'est comme ça, ou pas jamais qualité travail ça dans journal, d'après que toute image qui l'aide. Mais ouais, gentil jeune fille, yo était tellement belle, y a dansé, et rite grand-papa nous, grand-maman nous, son bagay qui merveilleux pour moi-même. Et Cathy, question te demandé, c'est est-ce que gen histoire Jean Dèdè Magritte te navigué wall ça? Vous connaissez ça qui ont petit genre choquant pour moi-même? C'est que Madame ça yo pas tendre rien de yo même. Yo te les Dèdè défilé fou. Thomas Madio écrit, il pas jamais dit ça un Dèdè yé. Bah même connaissez te ba même nom et défilé qui c'est Marie Sainte Dèdè Brésil. So ouais, nous connaît que l'étant vieille femme, mais nous pas connaît qui rôle Dèdè yo te joué. C'est la recherche que moi joine que et qu'on y a ouais que moi bon toute information yo gagne en Haïti ou un peu d'information yo gagne en Haïti ou ka cherche mais pour répondre question qui est-ce que gagne histoire Jean Dèdè Magritte te navigué wall pa yo l'aime te fait commencer OK l'aime t'a fait et ti pièce ça ou te ouais ti gentil jeune ça a danser c'est grand bois qui te ba plateforme ça parce que m't'a fait travail mais tout bon dans l'école américaine mais te ba plateforme ouais plateforme ça pour me venir jouer et cérémonie bois caïman dans Prospect Park et là ça te gon livre et me penser que livre là toujours on moun prend livre pas non mais il y a une biographie, un livre de Dèdè Magritte qui l'a, mais en français, connaît que l'existait. Parce que c'est ça que j'ai utilisé pour faire et me faire un play, un théâtre sous Bois Caïman. Et là, ça m'a pas de joindre Mambo Inan, moi te joindre Dèdè Magritte. Et mais kounya, c'est comme si l'esprit ça, il voulait que montrer plus Dèdè yo. So, ça m'a dit, Cathy, c'est que yote un odd, like, yote un fonctionnement dans l'église là. So, ces gens ça, yo fait wall yo. Yo pas comme si la hiérarchie de, comme si nuns, yo pas male. But ça y aurait a laity role, right? So ça veut dire que ça qui est tellement important, c'est que toute société a te confiance dans le monde ça yo, right? Yo capable à aller tout partout. Qu'est-ce que t'as jamais pensé c'est yo pour dire fait couper tête bouleka et kanga bondele. Pour moi-même, this is extraordinary. And I've been doing ma fait Bois Caïman for more than 20 years, right? But that vision, et ma bonne histoire, n'a cherché, m'te dit m'a cherché au goût, année ça. Et puis, esprit a toujours vin menem dans Dede yo. So c'est bizarre, beaucoup même comprendre réponse ça. Right? Because m'te voyé où est monsieur ça et un grand journaliste. Nous t'a joint avec une petite délégation qui sorti dans Bois Caïman, il t'a dans plaine du Nord année ça. Parce que m't'a cherché au goût. Après me joindre Dede. So et raison que toujours chercher au goût parce que nous ça qui passe dans Cité Soleil, besoin garçon haïtien vin garçon, right? Jean Dessalines te dit, un bon papa, un bon petit, un bon mari, un bon soldat, right? So c'est ça m'te pensé que année ça c'est ça m't'a parlé de ça, right? Parce que c'est ça nous besoin. Même rivé là, right? Parce que pas jamais connaît qui route yo pral non. Et l'aime rivé là li tellement important pour comprendre ça veut dire, right? So pour moi-même peut-être message là c'est que c'est Dantò yo, c'est Dede yo avec Mino yo qui fait au goût. Parce que tout regarder.
Yeah, racine soldat sont bonnes femmes.
That's right.
Bon maman,
c'est ça yo devle dire. Exactement. Et ça fait me dire que ça m'a dit nous là haïtien son message. Right? C'est pas un message que m't'a pas tonne. On est venu comme ça, right? So pour moi-même c'est wall yo joué à, c'est ton wall qui te caché ça y a fait. Right? Et raison ça important. L'important, m'a dit un bagay Catherine. So l'aime ta en pleine du Nord année ça avec un groupe, moun qui nous te voyé l'autre bord. C'était en juillet, le juillet 25, mais en même temps ça tout journal a parlé de moun y a tué dans Cité Soleil, moun y a JP, right? Mais t'es presque 20 à 50 000 haïtiens en pleine du Nord. Personne pas parler de eux même. M'te pensé que c'est ça, sous ça m'pral dire. M'pral parler. But pour moi-même, j'aime garder là, c'est que c'est Tantoya qui te prend des salines, right? Et c'est avant, right, qui te remené, Marie-Louise Bomba te gen 13 ans, right? Et on dirait, là, yo te vend, parce que personne ne va faire relation, parce que nous pas humain pour yo. Nous devons faire connexion, faire relation, yo. C'est ça, il a brillé pour me faire. So, s'il te gen 13 ans, et Cécile Fatima gen 16 ans, moi, j'ai besoin de connaître côté vieux, yo. So, ma joine Marie Dede Magritte, moi, joine Grande Guitonne, moi, joine Abaraya Toya, moi, joine Défilé. So, te gen catégorie de femmes, right? Parce que si li te vini conseiller de Christophe, mais Christophe, c'était moun pas Marie-Claire, pas Marie-Claire, non, Marie-Louise. Gen un livre qui m'ta ka recommandé moun qui poko li de histoire d'Haïti et moi livre ça encore. C'est Caroline Flick qui gagne livre ça, le Making of Haiti. Li pas parler du tout de li pas parler du tout de Magritte, right? Parce que m'ta cherché li, right? M'go paquet de livres. M'a cherché li, m'pa ka joindre li. Et c'est le livre n'endormi et bon m'a cherché le petit moment. C'est le livre n'endormi Mimose Beaubrun que moi joigne un petit paragraphe sous Dede Magritte. Et en plus moi je gomba m'pral montrer nous give me a second bien so moi te dans livre ça moi je nous bagay qui parce que m't'a cherché right excusez-moi for all this other stuff okay so dans livre ça qui relait The Making of Haiti by Carolyn Flick. So lem ta prepare, lem te jwen Dede yo, ok? Koun ya bezwen konen ki boy yo te ye. Lan liv sa, mwen li ke te gon, c'est ça que fait, lem jwen prince, sa que les princesses Améthéis, que wè la, li fem sonje Marie-Louise David. OK, li di, OK, so kounya c'est li out, la palais de révolte, la palais de Bois Caïman. Li di, the first 3 unsuccessful attempts to capture Le Cap, that Bookman was cited leading the band of insurgents by now close to 15,000. So there's a group of nuns in Okap, right? They cite, I mean, this is amazing, right? And it's because I was searching, right? So this group of nuns cite Bookman, right? Because we only know Bookman, he stops at Boakaima and the Bookman prayer. But in this book, it helps me with what I was looking for the Dedes, as how do they work? Because it says right here that these nuns, she finds that these nuns who are at the Communauté Religieuse de Filles de Notre-Dame. Okay? Now remember, in La Sucre, in Guanaïve, they celebrate Ren Congo, Notre-Dame, right? And then I read this and I see Princess Améthyste. She's a young, free Black woman who's in school, right? And it says here that, so she's in school of these nuns, right? And we know that the Dedes are connected to the nuns and the priests. So who do you think did her education but these women? That's not a far-fetched, right? It says right here that, so imagine maybe Marie-Louise went to this school because it's in Okap. It's the Communauté, and it's for free Blacks. And it says right here, Communauté de Religieux Filles Notre-Dame du Cap Haïtien, an educational order for young girls in the colony. They witnessed from the window of their convent the events that were occurring. So they witnessed Bookman with 15,000 people going to try to take down Cap Haïtien. But further than that, the most important part, she says they spoke of a former pupil, a mulatress. You see, remember Cécile Fatima, and right? They spoke of a former pupil, a mulatress, later known as Princess Améthyste. And I'm looking for Princess Améthyste. I have no idea who she is. I took out all the books looking for her. But it says they spoke of, these nuns spoke of a former pupil, a mulatress, later known as Princess Améthyste. She was the head of a company of Amazons. Right? So that's why I did that picture of an Amazon kind of looking person for Marie-Louise David, because I'm connecting them, right? She was this mulatress who's going to this school was at the head of a company of Amazon, and she had been initiated in the Vodun, and had inveigled a good number of her free Black women to come along. Imagine that. So we have to find ourselves, you know. So I'm finding it, that's how I found the Dedes, right? Like in stories where they weren't even talking about what I was looking for, but I knew what I came to look for. And then I found something. And then for the first time, right, I've been always looking for the echo of the King Congo chant, not chant, but the call to war. It says right here that these women, they got initiated with that King Congo, Kanga Mondele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga Najoki, Kanga Yo. So if Cécile Fatima is the sister of David over there, and this was the song, this was the call that she did at Boakaima. You see what I mean? So that's how I found, you know, these stories, like in between things. But like I said, you know that also she's it was an order. Now maybe researchers now will actually go into the spaces and look for conversation about the Dedes. I don't think anybody was doing that before. And that's kind of what I'm hoping is that, you know, this is just the tip of the iceberg. But what I'm able to connect her with, the stories that I could see is there's a woman named Kimpa. It went out of my head. Beatrice, she's from the Congo. She lived up until 1607 or 1707. She 85 years before Boakaima. And she took up arms, but she was a devout Catholic. Kimpa Vita. Look up Kimpa Vita. If you look up Kimpa Vita, you could see the relations with this Congo woman, which is Dede Magritte, 85 years later, that combined both Catholicism and Vodun. But in Haiti, I think that they use this archangel, right? She named her, Dede Magritte named her Umfo by a Catholic name, right? So that, you know, nobody would look at her. But she was walking up to Bokai Mambo Yinan. You understand? She was talking to all the commanders and having meetings with them. Meanwhile, she's administering to white planters. So she connected to all these people. And imagine, they think her whole life is about fasting and prayer because these women are supposed to be, you know, thrown away. And this woman got up and said, Kanga Mandele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga. To me, y'all gotta help me do that documentary. That's all I'm saying. All right. Is that okay, Kathy?
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you get a chance to put in the chat just the name of the Kimpa Vita, and then you referenced another book, I think about the Dede, if you can put I forget the title of it, but if you remember it and you can put the author in the chat, that would be lovely.
Okay.
Thank you.
And yeah, we have a few minutes. Let me just do that now, because I think this to me is the most important work that I do, is to make these connections. It's so hard because I'm doing so many other things, because our people are in such need. So the very need for taking care of the suffering body. I think that to me is a big lesson for that the Dedes are telling us, that the European, the imperialists, you know, they just want to use your labor, and then you're discarded. So they discarded these women, and these women who were pious, who prayed, who fasted, who healed. It actually gave me a new view of Marie Claire Wurst, who was a pacifist. If she was part of that society, I can understand her more now. So as I was looking for Dede Magritte, like I said, someone took my book, but as I was looking for her, and I know, like I said, that I more than 20 years ago, I read her biography. Let me see if I can show you this piece of information before I answer other people's questions, because I am just fascinated. And I think this is the direction the universe wants me to go into, because I'm putting life into these women. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna see. Oh darn. Give me a second, you guys. Okay, just one moment, because I'm very excited. Okay, so this is the book. I have not read this book, all right? I was just looking in the back for Dede, and actually found something that you did when Unga Geneus was talking to you. Like, I knew that she was a healer, but I didn't get that from him. I was also looking for, you know, how did she have a troop as a warrior? I didn't get that, so I was looking, and and just off top of this is a fiction, but I found in other places. It says here, I was gonna take a picture of it, but I didn't get a chance to. It's on page 41, and it says, Dede Magritte nan Campeche. She was an extraordinary woman. Listen to this. She went on a pilgrimage that lasted 9 years in search of higher levels of consciousness. She traveled Morne Rouge, Bon à l'Évêque, and Piccolo, and finally settled at Coupa David. And I think of Qua David. I don't know why. But she was initiated. But the thing that was important is that from this, I heard the thing about Malkadi, which is epilepsy. She said she was a great healer. Her methods went beyond medical practice. So this would apply to all the Dedes, right? Because Defile was a midwife too. Okay, so she was a great healer. Her medical methods and her prescription worked without fail. People who were ailing all over, those who suffered from Malkadi, epilepsy, came from all parts of the country to be healed by Dede Magritte. She was called the woman with the divine hand. She used a calabash tool for consultation. She also knew how to read the leaves of the malanga roots for recipes. She nourished herself. So that gave me that piece about healing that I didn't hear from Genelus. So to me, the importance of this group of women is that they serve all the community with their healing levels, right? And I found a white group of women in Belgium because I was trying to get like a vision, and they were called the Beguines, B-E, like Belgium, but just Googled it. And I looked at, they were a group of women who lost their men doing the, what's that thing when they went to fight in the Crusades and there was no more men. So these women got together. So I envisioned, and you know, that's what happened. And actually there's an article you can find on the internet right now. It's called, because everybody's trying to take these women and give them another identity besides Vodun. So there's a movement to say that Dede Magritte was Muslim. There's another one that says she wasn't a woman, she was a man. And there's a Haitian researcher, his name is Ronald Salvane, S-A-L-V-A-N-E. And there's an article and it's called Dede Magritte is not Muslim. And it's in both French and it actually says most of what Genelus says, except that he has more stuff. He talks about the archangel and the rose water, but he talks about something different. He says it was someone that was lost. So those are those three things are how I came to put it together like that. I read about the Beguines. There's a New York Times article. It's on my point here, and it talks about the lost women, and it's about the Beguines. And if you read about the Beguines, then you sort of have a visual about the Dedes. Okay, I hope that's good. Thank you, that's the name, yep, thank you. All right, definitely gonna put out the word, making All right, any question for Gamboa people? Just put up your hand. I think it's almost 3 o'clock. We're gonna be finishing then. I'm looking to see, hi, can we purchase these items? Yes, Mafoun. Gamboa, est-ce qu'on peut bailler adresse ou encore, s'il te plaît? Dis pas attendez?
Attendez-vous.
OK.
730 Flatbush Avenue, between Parkside and Woodruff. Parkside and Woodruff.
OK, ça c'est pour Mafoun, moi question, hein? Et moi numéro de téléphone dans tout. Oforiwa, ça c'est numéro de Brambois, ou ka ouais ça Mafoun. Okay, do you have a WhatsApp?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. Okay, mba ouais, si moun gen question, na di moi parce que nani gen un lot 6 minutes, s'il te plaît. Gamboa, est-ce que vous moun yon ti bénédiction là? Di yo sauve les, mba ouais question. Gen moun ki gen question avant nous aller pour nous finir?
Yes, you just said the number. Did you put it in the chat?
Moi ouais, the number, oui, it's in the chat. It's under, I think, OFORWA. She says, is this the correct number from Gamboa? I think he confirmed that number, but let me know, Oforiwa. Is that number correct?
He did correct it, yes. Thank you.
Okay, so my phone, you can see that, right? It's 347-574-7067. Diana, I know you gave me, you asked a message about dual citizenship. You know, I'm so not there now, but I don't even know what to say about that right now. You know, there's a U.S. Haitian embassy. I wouldn't go see those Negroes if you paid me, but okay. There's one in New York. Are you there, Diane? All right. I think this was really good. I wanted to, actually, Dede Marguerite needed to be out there. People needed to have the visual of the Amazons, the Dahomeans, like Abderaya Toya, and how they fought. And these women died. Remember, by the time Fairchair comes along, Tantoya has been fighting, and she is wounded severely and ends up dying in 1805 before Dessalines, and Dessalines took her in because she was his guardian. I don't know what else. I think we're good, everybody. So Gamboa, take us out. Tell us something. Tell us something that's going to help the people of Haiti right now and the young folks listening to you abroad.
Ça passe là, la caille c'est la caille. Pour toute bagaille m'a fait dans la Kouboucline, moi t'a remis pour me terminer ou que la caille moi mais c'est dommage bah yo pas fin en forme. Je voulais chanter un petit chanter qui dit comme ça que mais délivrez-moi non ou pas ouais trop tabarim dans pays mon yo mais délivrez-moi non ou pas ouais trop tabarim dans pays mon yo si m'te ouais maman moi ta pas la maman moi si m'te ouais papa moi ta pas la papa moi ou pas ouais trop tabarim dans pays mon yo 67 ans c'est tant comme moi trop tabarim parce que gen pile bagam dans main côté Haïti tout mais c'est dommage Et ça te fait moi te chanter ça.
Non, c'est merveilleux. And this is the c'est exactement ça nous avons besoin pour nous finir ça. Je te remercie tellement. OK, je veux retourner encore.
Okay.
Tellement ou ba nous en pile courage.
Merci.
Merci, merci. Merci Mike pour tout ça qu'on fait et tout le monde qui m'a des questions yo. Et ça qui part là, les bails là tout commencé. Bah, n'a mettre vidéo ça sur internet là pour qu'à ouais. Et m'ta souhaité que ouais nous faire un pile travail pour nous vinn ba ou ça. Et que oui.
Je voulais souhaiter une grosse abondance voodoo la caillou qui pour tomber dans mon pour le gros et moi mes travail à faire et moi mes surtout parce que on invité moi mes grand maître là Guinéo parce que si on pas de moyen on ne doit pas caler aujourd'hui mais yo la non même moi merci yo moi mes surtout.
Merci, merci, merci. Et je prends ça. Parce que, like, dans cette je connais comme besoin, besoin un pile, amour comme ça. Merci, merci. Et spécialement, sorti la mer, ou l'enracine depuis longtemps. So, moi, t'es petit devant comme ça. Merci. Merci. Et tout le monde qui attendait moi, qui te venu là pour nous partager ces moments, ça, pour nous changer tout ça, nous pas ouais, yo. Pour nous songer tout ça qui t'est perdu la vie, yo. Tout ça qui t'est perdu la vie, yo, pour que nous fassions vertière, pour nous bailler noir, monde noir, tout partout dans le monde entier, une fierté que yo pas jamais qu'à effacer, même yo qu'à faire n'importe ça yo vle, yo pas qu'à effacer Wakaïman, yo pas qu'à effacer Grande Guitonne, tantôt y a défilé, Marie-Claire et ma première c'est esprit Marguerite m'a dit non parce que c'est non yo te ba moyen et c'est premier c'était premier show moi mais il vient retourner là encore Marguerite Jean Vodou imaginez-vous nous l'esclavage et yo il tellement gain pouvoir li ka kembe non ça Dèdè Marguerite Jean Vodou, m'entendo. Et m'a toujours cherché au goût, oui, côté au goût. Moi, tout partout, besoin que nous cherchions Dessalines, lever encore. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Mike, I couldn't have done this without you. And you were just totally amazing. Fritz, thank you so very much.
Merci for the invitation as well. I really enjoyed the education. I took a couple of screenshots to do some further research myself, right? And I hope you would give me the opportunity to edit your book whenever you do to publish.
I'm writing that book, and these stories is the story. So if you see it anybody else, you know where it came from, right? It came right here. It came right here.
I would be honored to edit that book, so please keep me in mind when you're looking for an editor.
Yeah. Let's go for Èzili. Thank you, everybody. The 16th, Tuesday, we're going to have Zaza directly from Wakaima. Okay? And we have so much to share with you. So please come back. All right? I'd like to see more of you. Take care. Bye-bye. Tout pays. Compère général Jean-Baptiste.